Awesome. Are you guys excited? Yeah? Are you guys excited? Okay, cool, cool, cool. Some people excited. Thanks for not leaving the room. Yeah, let's get started. Okay, cool. How many of you guys heard about MetaMask Snaps? Just I want to fine tune the speech here. Okay, cool. How many of you guys are DevRels in some products company? Okay, okay. Because we will speak a little bit about developer onboarding. So, and how many of you guys are developers? Full time? Yeah? Okay, sounds good. Awesome, awesome. So, yeah, my name is Francesco. For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm part of the DevRel team at Consensus, working on a bunch of things. Lately, I've been dedicated on Snaps. We launched officially like Snaps on permissionless last year. This is a random picture from me from East Denver. That was super cool. And yeah, I've been quite around for like different like developer activation around the ecosystem, and I'm just very excited to build to make, you know, to help mentoring like developers around the world on different tech stack. Obviously, Consensus is the mother company. I don't know how many of you guys like deployed on Linea. Linea is also one ZKVM that we are having under the umbrella. We killed the switch. Can you guys hear me? No? I can shout. Oh yeah, easy. Keep shouting. The screen can hear it. Oh, the screen can hear it? Okay, awesome. You guys hear me? I just want to make people understand why we are building this kind of like permission. There is a bunch of like narrative because why we need a better like Web3, but basically like I identify like three main principles around permissionless innovation, around why we want to build a better Web3, and there are three main things, right? User-owned accounts, obviously like we're speaking that a lot. We want to give transparency to users, to developers, and have officially like, you know, instruments to revoke permission. I don't know if many of you guys feel that you are really the product in Web2, yeah, that's one of the big part. Second, accessible interface. You want to make sure that not just users, but also developer understand how you're interacting with the products. So specifically to Snaps, you will see you have a very transparent interface. You can revoke access. I don't know how many of you guys revoke access to your extension on Chrome. Or even if you know how to do it, because like right now, like you have literally open channels, and it's very difficult to understand what data is actually transferred, what the data is actually monetized, and specific things. So third big principle of consensual web, it's all about kind of like having those requests, make people understanding what data you are sharing and what data you're actually revoking to. Fourth main principle is basically about permissions. Same concept, basically, as a user, we want to be enabled to understand when we interact with something, and understanding also when we are able to kind of like cut this connection, right? And the third most important one, also you want to build a system that is fully modular, that is not just extendable from the community for the users, but it's also like it's make people user as kind of like an experimental session, right? They want to build on top, they want to add new features all the time, and it's all about also like trust, having a user trusting your stack, but also having users trusting the ecosystem that you're in. So basically like four main things, right? We want to build for community, for extensibility, and for interoperability around different ecosystems. We want to speak about, you know, trust and attestation. This is something that we're also working on for specific Web3 attestation system for like, you know, not just manually Snaps part, and then obviously extensibility, right? We want to have a fully modular system that people can enhance and can build on top of it, right? So I want to make people understand, you know, I don't know how future of wallets will look like. I can actually tell you what does it look like, right? PvP, one size fits all, right? Important to understand is that there is no company that really know the best. There is no journey that will satisfy everyone. what we are seeing right now is that different journey for different type of persona, right? You will have always your NFT heavy user. You have always people more DeFi focused. You have people that want to have specific like setting in their wallet for like developer frameworks. So every journey need to be appearing differently, and every journey need to be kind of satisfied. And also like the last part, I really like this one because there is no really entity, no product owner, no product builder. There are actually, oh nice, we're back, that actually know how to build one things, right? There was one time back I think 3-4 years ago that we had something like 7,000 open PR on the MetaMask source code. That was actually quite crazy. And basically what is happening is that we could not satisfy the speed of innovation and the growth of both integration and feature requests. So we need to start with 5 principles. I kind of mentioned that already. So user-centric narrative. You want to also speak about trust for the users and for the developers. You want to make sure that you're starting with decentralizing your products first. I don't know how many of you guys, obviously, like if you're a developer, you use Infura, deploying on different like networks. But right now, also, we're working on something called DIN, decentralized node infrastructure. And basically, it's kind of like a fully distributed version of Infura. And it's quite super interesting to see how those products are getting more and more decentralized. So I remind everybody, this is a journey, right? So it's not about the result. So why we're building this is obviously to empower communities, but not just empowering, just getting feedback, but also empowering with specific instrument so that people can actually start to build and extend functionality of cool things. So that's what we call permissionless innovation. I'm advocating this since quite the early days, but without actually providing a full permissioned innovation environment for developers and builders around the ecosystem, will be very difficult to actually build sustainable products, right? That's where we're coming finally to Snaps, right? So Snaps is nothing else as wallet functionality built on top of the extension that you see today. Think about our add-on, right? So you will see different add-on today. So you will see stuff that is happening around non-EVM compatible Snap. You will see privacy Snap. There are different Snap. I put here like some of those categories here. But basically, like, I'm super excited about, obviously, the non-EVM compatible Snap. I don't know if many of you guys use the Solana Snap or the BTC Snap for specific things. I'm also quite excited about security Snaps. I'm interacting with, there is a Snap called BlockFence, and those guys, for example, are build this Snap that is interacting with understanding even before you're signing or accepting transaction, if you're interacting with a malicious contract or not. That's also quite interesting. And then there are snaps around decentralized identity. There are snaps around transaction insight. That's also one of the early category that we'll be starting building with. MPC and 2FA for account recovery. That's also like quite interesting. So the most important things that you want to also like work out today is that today, if you go on snaps.metamask.io, you have like 50 plus snaps that are allowed listed. And there are different type of snaps. So depending on what you're doing, you can install and deinstall, revoke access to any snaps today, right? It's quite cool because, you know, from one day to another, you get like functionality fully extended, depending on what you are doing. We're also working on basically UI, on specific UI components on both extension and mobile, and you will see quite cool things happening in the future. I have 3 slides just to understand a little bit, because these are the questions that are always popping up. Security-wise, Snap is basically a fully siloed package that basically like is interacting fully dependently with the extension. So every time that a Snap is actually asking information or permissions, you will see that. And I have a screenshot on the slide. Yeah, so it's the cool thing is that it's not just about is interacting with the extension, but also like snaps are fully compatible with also external APIs. So basically what you can do is leverage your own technology. Think about, I don't know, you're building a push notification system, you have your own tech stack. So what basically is happening, you can have the Snap interacting with your tech stack, and the Snap afterwards is interacting directly with the extension. This is the Wallet Guard Snap. I just want to like show you guys how revoke and permission looks like. Basically, what you can see here is even like access to the internet is being pushed, and it's quite interesting that you as a users you really have a full understanding of what the Snap is asking and what the Snap is getting permissions to, right? And the cool thing is that those will appear in your settings, but also you can revoke access specifically to specific Snap, and it's quite extensible. And apart that, if you want to DD a little bit more, those are nothing else as NPM packages. So you will see authors, you will see the full code behind the Snap, and also like you will see right now we are working on this kind of allow list DD workflow that is giving basically like what has been due diligence and what else. And we're also working on this attestation with Karma 3 Labs. I don't know if you heard about these guys, but basically you can fully start, even if you are in the community, you can start to assessing and due diligence community Snap being built on top and added to the wish list. Cool, so just 3 things, right? So first, Snaps are self-custodial. You can, you really understand like who they are accessing and what. You can interact with also like your own tech stack API or also external. And also like obviously like whatever Snaps you're installing yourself, you can disinstall and you have full ownership on whatever you wanna do. So this, for everybody that want to install, this is a quick QR code with some guides, and you will see in the allow list today there are 4 main categories: interop, security, communication, and account management. I forgot to mention that the one on communication is actually quite interesting. You have a Snap that basically can interact with other wallets. You can basically, like, we are 2 friends. We are installing both the same Snap, and basically I can do chat-to-chat, encrypted chat-to-chat directly through wallets instead sending transaction. Is actually quite interesting. For the developers out there, they want to get started with Snap. Apart, like if I don't know if you guys are hacking on in ETH Prague or in next hackathons, we have different kind of like GitHub discussion repo, some examples Snap you can fork and build on that, and also like some guides. There is also a cool wish list Snap that we would like to see like being built in the future, and it's also like quite interesting to see. Okay, now we spoke about Snaps, right? We spoke about why this is important, why extending the functionality of your wallet today is extremely necessary, because community is not just asking for different features, but I also want to contribute more actively on those being featured. But I also want to state something. I think building to cool technology is not enough. You want to also build frameworks. You want to activate your developer community, but most important is you want to align with other products around the ecosystem to build cool things. And for doing that, you need some frameworks. You need to speak the same language. And today, like, we are speaking on different languages around, developer onboarding, even like for the DevRel, how tier, like every time that we're debating different activation, we have different metrics and different ROI for different target persona. So in these last couple of minutes, I just want to show you guys what I've been working on for the past year, and those is basically called like DevRel frameworks, just to speak about those developer activation a little bit more on a higher level, right? So that everybody can start kind of like saying, okay, this top activation are very similar to this, so kind of like speaking the same language. I don't know if you remember this. I don't know, I studied that like maybe 10 years ago on back on my studies, but this is the Maslow hierarchy of needs. And basically what I did is I recreated this one called Francesco builder hierarchy of builder needs. And basically like this is nothing else as a pyramid of low-hanging fruit builder needs, right? So you will have here, I don't think I can point, but basically you will have here on the lowest part like what is really necessary for making and activating successfully your developer community. So you have specific things, right? You need to get your docs on place. You want to have your presence and specific flagship events, and different things, right? You want to have also tutorial guides on your doc that are specific fine-tuned for your persona. And then, like, what the part that I really like is basically the second part. After you kind of nail down your specific needs for kind of like the low-hanging fruits, right? You want to also like build this kind of level of safe space, right? No one is really deploying on your layer 2 if you're actually not showing people that you are a thought leader in the space, right? This is what I'm calling like kind of like agnostic like layer that is all about winning developers around agnostic and verticalized activation. So this is like, I don't have much time, but this is basically like one of the main framework. I put also like a full, like I wrote a quick paper on that, and that's also like quite interesting that I can show you guys also like later. And basically, that's compromised like on different levels. What else? So obviously, like engaging developers successfully, you want to focus on education. You want to also like start to think about this kind of second level. So you don't want to shield directly on the developer phase, but also like trying to understand that vertical-based use case, both in docs, both in tutorial, are very effective. And also, like most important, like be honest of what you're building, right? Snaps has been a huge journey. It started back I think like 6 years ago with Dan trying to add Cosmos interoperability, and that's where kind of like the thing started to think about, okay, what else can we add? What features can we add, and how we can build this kind of like framework for also like developer out in the community to extend the functionality of the wallet. And every time we're going to hackathon with different specific Snaps tooling, for example, we went to, I don't know, like ETH Lisbon with Transaction Inside, and then we came back after the hackathon with feedback, we revamp our docs, we rebuild literally like our docs from scratch, and we did that for like 6-7 times, and this was like a big lesson learned. So for everybody that are building not just docs, but also like extending functionality of your product. And the other big part is that, you know, any activation that you see out there, what you want to do is understanding what target persona you have, what type of developer you're engaging with, at what stage. That's basically the second main framework that I want to show you today. And that's basically it, right? So this is, and I can kind of like, I saw quite a lot of things around the ecosystem all the time, not just around hackathons, but also around the different, you know, developer ecosystem. And today, without any doubt, like the majority of activation are being done in this kind of like product-specific conversion, right? And basically, like I ask myself a lot, like what really like matters for gaining this kind of top of the funnel developers, and kind of the response was quite obvious, but I think like we're not really debating this stuff a lot, that we need much more like value-driven onboarding strategies, right? We want to build a use case, we want to drive specific vertical forwards, and not just, you know, shouting, hey, use this product because of this, right? If you think about, you know, having dApps developers to deploy on your network, you know, a cool thing could be, let's start building vertical specific tutorials and kind of like drive the conversation from there. If you also like start speaking about smart wallets, could be cool having some kind of AA meetups driving this kind of narrative. And this was one of my biggest lesson learned, and that's why kind of like I try to combine things together in here. And here, I don't know if you can read, but basically like you have small activation for each part of the funnel. And also like one thing to state is that you can have, for example, very specific product community calls. You can have very specific webinars or like, you know, workshops that are product specific. But in the upper part, on this value-driven onboarding, you want to focus on getting developers excited about not just your own ecosystem, but then the entire like stack where you're working on. And also like that's why a lot of activations like, you know, ecosystem community calls, could be even like virtual or IRL hackathons that are expanding on different features, are very useful. And yeah, and as you can see here, I also try to be quite agnostic as possible with kind of like not focusing on what specific products. and yeah, and was I mean, it's quite perceived interestingly. And there is also like a bunch of like papers on that everybody can read. And one example that was a big lesson learned was something called like builder nights. We started with my colleague back in there, something called builder nights in like 2 years ago on account abstraction meetups, and it kind of like evolved this as a movement that people wanted to hear the most kind of like agnostic debate around these topics. And now we run, I don't know, something like 25 builder nights in literally like every city that you saw flagship and ETH events happening, and it was actually quite interesting. And tonight we're also doing one here at ETH Prague, if you guys want to join. Yeah, so sounds good. I think I spent enough time here. Let's quickly recap, right? So permissionless innovation, everybody need to kind of build sustainable product, regenerative product. How to do that is empowering much more and activate really your community. Don't just wait for feedbacks, but build kind of this sustainable like layer so that everybody can build on top of and enable like this kind of like permissionless innovation. Build a vibrant community around your product, you know, not just only focus on your product itself, but think about that you want to be a thought leader first of what you're building before even like putting in front of the developer your technology. And also like one thing, this is not just about DevRel, but also like trying to build those relationships from scratch on, you know, like you need to be able to support developers wherever they want and wherever they are in this funnel. And yeah, and that's a little bit it, right? So, you know, everything, it's like we need to remind ourselves why we're also here, right? We want to build a better, you know, not just technology stack, but we want to build this kind of permissionless innovation. We want to empower much more users, especially like having this consent is king. Trying to get users understanding what they're doing and how they can empower themselves, but also in the same time understanding what accesses they're giving to what. So that's kind of like my presentation, and yeah, I put here some links, and yeah, check out a bunch of snaps that will happen, and I'm open for questions, and looking forward to see you guys at ETH Prague and Builder Night. Awesome, thank you guys. I think we have one question there in the...
Just a second, I'll activate the mic.
Thank you for the presentation. Yeah, great idea, really like it. I was kind of looking at your pyramid of needs. Kind of surprised that kind of looking at the physiological needs, which is the bottom of the pyramid, which food, shelter, water, you need money for that. I didn't see any way for third-party developers to monetize. So what's the plan for that?
You mean monetize? You want snaps to be monetizable, or?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's hard work. So why would MetaMask capture all that value?
Yeah, I mean, let's also like, we are not owning any snaps out there, right? Like, so third-party developers, organization that can build snaps today, they're owning their own snap. Like, our own idea is just to pushing like this, you know, having like a platform for snaps developer to build on top. There are different ways to monetize in the future. We are building this extensible UI. People can also like, you know, leverage their own technology stack to empower the snap. Like, there are different like transaction insights, for example, like can work also with your own API. And depending on what you're building, you can also leverage your own pricing model. I'm looking forward much more on this. Right now, the allow list is fully like, it's built by us, like to get in this allow list. And with this attestation service, basically you can actually activate much more the community on the DD side. So like my assumption is that will be a lot of like snaps developer that will start also DD other like snaps that want to go on the allow list. And basically like that's also like one way. There are different ways, but we are trying to, you know, like step by step, right? And there is no, I mean, there will be a way to monetize in the future for both snaps developer, but also like users. But right now, the most important part is satisfying feature requests and integration. And right now, like we're getting like bombarded, you know, like, hey, we want to have our tech stack being integrated on the extension on portfolio, and at the same time is that we want to have, you know, like especially like non-EVM ecosystems, right? We want to add support, and now there is a way to start telling people, hey, there is actually like a way you can build your own support, and you can actually extend the functionality on that.
Amazing. Is there another question? Actually, I also do have one question myself, or if you want to go first, a follow-up.
Yeah, just about the due diligence, since now you have, you know, people's private keys and everything through MetaMask, and you're adding this third-party, I guess, developer to add a module into it through a snap. What's the due diligence like? How are you going to guarantee the security of the third-party modules? Are you going to standardize, use something like ERC 6900 to actually follow a standard, or what's the process like?
Yeah, right now I can tell you a little bit about like, you know, what is a snap look like, right? Before I mentioned, those snaps are fully siloed. So basically everything, even interacting and getting access to the private key, like you basically as a user, so you need to actually approve it. And I can go back to the slides, but long story short is that everything that the snap is allow listing to the extension to do, you need to approve it, right? Yeah, yeah. Depending, there are basically like there are specific like frameworks that you can do it. Yeah, I can show you. Yeah.
Awesome. I also have a question myself, if that's okay. I would like to take the focus away from DevRel a little bit and ask you, how do you think that snaps are going to help onboard new users to MetaMask? And also if you're doing or planning to do something to help developers design specifically for users.
Yeah, that's a good question. So before I mention about this kind of like that each journey will be different. So like my expectation in the future, like you will have pre-built like kind of like wallets. Basically, whenever you are installing your own extension, you will say, okay, I'm a DeFi heavy user, and you have very specific DeFi snap already pre-installed. So I think like this will help a lot on specific onboarding. For example, we see now NFT-heavy users. They just care about, I don't know, like NFT trading, or they just want to have specific like features. And right now, like the experience will be, okay, I'm adding like some specific NFT snaps, and basically like the feature will be specific to like having much more customized wallet with pre-configured snap. I think that's kind of like the way that the think like customized journey will go. And to the second part that you were mentioning, also how we are supporting like developers to get that. So first we have this wish list of like Snap that we see that users are also asking, but also like in terms of support, more monetary support is we have a full, we have the MetaMask grants DAO. There's actually, everybody here can send like a full proposal for getting granted for building a Snap. Not just a Snap, also could be leveraging also MetaMask SDK and specific things. And then we have different programs more lower in the funnel, like Scale, I don't know if you heard about it, but also it's quite interesting. And we have a lot of like Snaps building right now, super excited about different use cases, especially on account abstraction too. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. A big round of applause.
Thank you, guys.
Definitely be joining you for Builder Night later.